What's going on, guys? My name is RagingRaptor and welcome to a new World of Tanks review. Today we have the Bat Chat Bourrasque, the new tier 8 French medium tank, which you right now can get for free in the Bourrasque Marathon. I already looked at the Bourrasque's marathon, what you have to do, how hard it is, and roughly how long it will take. It looks like it will be roughly as long as the one of the Renegade, so you can judge from there. In today's Raptor review, I would like to go through every single one of its key features, being firepower, survivability, mobility, concealment, and spotting, giving you my personal views on them after playing 38 games in this tank, and then give you one final conclusion. For the people which this video will take too long, I can already say, if you like the Bat Chat 25 on tier 10, you should like the Bourrasque. And lastly, for the people which ask at how much price I should buy it, I would suggest try to play the marathon as casually as possible. If you can get around an 80% discount, it's a very decent tank to get for 12 euros as far as I know. So now let's jump into the firepower. The firepower of this vehicle is a double-edged sword in my opinion. It is what makes me personally, or rather it makes the tank not really suit my personal playstyle. Tanks like the Lancet C I like to play a lot. It has a great penetration, it has a very punchy gun, and it is fairly accurate when you take your time and aim in. And this is where the Bourrasque completely differs from that kind of play style. It has also a pretty punchy gun with a 2-round autoloader with 360 alpha. That is great, it gives you around 720 burst damage in just 2 seconds, which is on tier 8 absolutely ridiculous. In 2 clips you can clip out many tier 8 medium tanks if you get lucky. And that is something very strong in my personal opinion. However, and here comes the big caveat, the tank has a long reload time. For me personally, with Wents, with rations, and with a Brothers in Arms crew, I'll get it around 19.79 seconds, which is fairly long. It used to be shorter, but Wargaming deemed this tank to be too strong with the shorter reload clip, which is understandable because in well-played hands this tank is absolutely a beast. I would suggest to look Skill4LTU on his videos where he played a ton of games in this tank already and already free-marked it in just under 2 days in 77 games with 2,700 average damage in those games, which is an absolutely insane value to have in my opinion. The big issues this tank has are quite simply its ridiculously long aim time and its fairly bad accuracy. You have 3.08 seconds of aim time. And again, don't forget the written aim time is how long it takes the gun to aim in 60%, not fully aim in. Meaning that in the end, you will most likely be aiming around 4.5 seconds to just be fully aimed in, and 0.37 accuracy is simply not enough. One thing, however, I personally noticed with this tank is that it's fairly accurate on the move, especially if you use a vertical stabilizer. On the move, it has actually one of the best in-class accuracies on tier 8. During movement and during turret traverse. It feels in that regard kind of a little bit like a T100LT. Absolute garbage accuracy in general, but it's decently accurate on the move. But then again comes the very long aim time. So this tank, everything above 2 or let's say 200 meters, you hardly can hit. It's very hard to hit with this gun. This is why it's a double-edged sword. It's an amazing run and gun vehicle, close quarters. But sometimes I simply didn't felt like I could utilize that as much as I wanted to. And the long aim time makes it almost impossible to properly use it on distance above 300 meters. Let's quickly gloss over the survivability of this tank. It has 1250 hit points, which is one of the lowest. And as you probably know, the tank is based on the Bat Chat 12T chassis with the EBR 105 turret, meaning yes, this tank has no armor to speak of. 30 millimeters of frontal armor, 20 millimeters the rest on its hull. Again, it's very, very bad. Turret is just just 10 millimeters thick with 50 millimeters in the front and a little bit of spaced armor around the gun mantlet. Keep in mind, you will get slaughtered by well-played EBRs and wheeled tanks. Also keep in mind, artillery is going to aim for you as much as possible. Even though you are a small vehicle, they can hit you, they can pen you, and it will screw over your day. Please keep in mind, you have a low HP pool and do not trade against anything with HE. I had countless encounters already where RT or even a badly played SU-152 just blapped me for 900 damage after he immediately died. On to the mobility, and the mobility is a little bit, it sounds weird, but in my opinion it's a little bit lackluster. And this is because on paper the stats are amazing. You have 25 HP per ton specific power, which is great. You have 62 kph top speed, 23 kph backward speed, and 48 degrees of traverse speed. That is also, this sounds amazing. It sounds like it's a Speedy Gonzalez tank. However, and this is the big issue, and this is also something Wargaming hides from you, the soft stats of the tracks are pretty bad. I genuinely felt like the Progetto was equal in mobility, maybe even slightly better in mobility than the Bourrasque, even though the Progetto really does have much worse HP per ton ratio and a worse top speed. This is just due to the fact that the tank simply has very, 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 very bad terrain resistances. On hard terrain, the Bourrasque is twice as bad as the Progetto. On soft, it's 50% worse. You feel that. As soon as you go into a terrain which is soft, you have a very, very hard time turning yourself. And it's also something I just had a feeling like that just doesn't feel right. It feels, to me personally, very awkward and bad even. Something which made me a little bit frustrated in that kind of sense, you know? So it's great straight line speed, but as soon as you start turning, it gets a little bit weird. Also something which is slightly annoying, but not really too bad is, well, it can't turn on the spot. So it's only like, can only turn one track at a time. So you have to look out that you, for example, if you are hiding in a bush, which you can do with this tank, that you are not driving out of it by accident, you know. That is something I would suggest to look into and be careful about. Because this could, in theory, really hamper your spotting even, because one of your weak spot points go out of the bush and boom, you get spotted and you die. Again, with such a low HP pool and non-armor, can be really, really tough. To the concealment! Nothing to say, it's amazing. The concealment when stationary and while driving are absolutely insane. With a camo crew you have 40% concealment during stationary and 31% concealment while on the move. Again, amazing values, you cannot say anything against them. 31% camo on the move for a medium tank is close to insane, really. Tanks, like the only real tank which gets to that as well, concealment wise, the most tier 8 light tanks are above, but it's only by 6%. Like the T92 light tank has 37% camo on the move. The LT432 has also 37% camo with a camo crew. And interestingly enough, for example, the M41D with a fully camo crew has only 30% camo. And this 30% camo is during movement and during stationary, meaning that literally the Bat Chat Bourrasque has better camouflage than the tier 8 light tank. Something to keep in mind, the camo is absolutely insane. And as far as I know, there is not a single tier 8 medium which gets close to that value, period. It's just that good, really. It's really just that good. For example, the M4A1 Revolurizy has almost twice as bad concealment on the move compared to the Bat Chat Bourrasque. And the Lansen C is the only one which can get close to the Bourrasque, but it's still 5% behind during movement and almost 7% behind during stationary. So yeah, if you want to have something small, nimble, and very, very stealthy, the Bourrasque is absolutely insane in that regard. And lastly, to the spotting, and there we have to say signal range, no one cares about, it's good enough, 800 meters, I'll take that. And the spotting range is, with a good crew, very, very good. 390 meters base is already a pretty good number for tier 8. And if you're using vents, which I recommend using if you use optics and rations in a good crew, you can get to 485 meters, how I have it so far. And this is for a tier 8 medium tank, a very, 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 very good value, which you can look forward to. Seriously, it's an amazing value, something you should definitely try to get. You can use this tank as a scout. We had several screenshots of values on this Discord, where people were just like, look at how good this tank is on scouting. And especially as it is still very, 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 very stealthy during movement for a medium tank. It's not as good as light tanks, but it's almost on the level of a light tank. You can use this tank comfortably as well as a secondary scout for your team. Go figure, it is on a Bat Chat 12T, obviously. Conclusion. I personally still have to get used to this tank. Even though I already played 38 games, I still have to get the grips of this tank, try to be more opportunistic, try to get my shots in, and try to not shoot above 200 meters. This tank will teach you how to play a Bat Chat 12T, a 25T properly. It really is a pocket Bat Chat, so I'm 100% certain people which like the Bat Chat on tier 10 will love the Bourrasque as well. When it comes to penetration things, it's a little bit bad. 190 millimeters, I forgot to mention it, is not that good. It is APCR. It feels fast at the beginning, but as soon as you go into more distance, it feels like the shells lose speed quickly. Plus the penetration on above 300 meters, it gets very, very bad. So you have good luck. You need to have good luck to penetrating. Plus the premium rounds are also APCR and not heat, as you would imagine, because it is an EBR gun. And yeah, the penetration as well with APCR is just 240. It's not heat, and it loses a lot of penetration as well during distance. HE sadly does not have the hash round, or maybe it's good that it doesn't have the hash round, we know from the EBR 105. And one last thing, gun depression, 6 degrees is not bad by any means, but sometimes I felt like 1 or 2 degrees more would have been absolutely amazing. Especially as I've played a lot of EBR 105 games, and the EBR 105 has 7 degrees of gun depression and not 6. So, again, is it worth it? If you can get it for around 12 euros, go for it. It's a pretty decent tank. If you like the Bat Chat, sure, go for it. If you really want to get it for free, go for it, try it. I would suggest don't worry about too much. Again, if you just buy for 12 euros, it's a great tank, really. It's a great tank and it teaches you a lot. If you have to pay 50% of the price, so it's 31 euros, you might have to consider if you really want that, because 50% off is basically the listed gold price of this tank. So it's a bit, should you really do it, you know? But yeah, I heard a lot of good stuff from other people. I personally, again, still need to get used to it, but I see the potential of this tank. And it's very, very fun to play when you can play this aggressive playstyle where you just go in, go out, get 2 kills, get 2 shots off, 2 clip tier 8 medium tanks. That's very, very cool. My name is RagingRaptor. I hope you enjoyed this review of this tank. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about this vehicle, if you like it or not. Let me know if this review was helpful, let me know what I can do better, and if you enjoy such contents, then consider subscribing if you are not already. Thank you so much for watching. Next video might be a replay of the Bourrasque, which I have lying around, where I show you how to play this tank a bit more passively. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Cheers, good luck on the battlefield, good luck in the marathon.